In the shining capital of the Thalvani Empire, the great arena roared with noise and pride. Thousands of aliens filled the seats, cheering, shouting, waving flags. Above them floated banners with golden symbols of strength, honor, and battle. The Thalvani were tall, strong, and proud. They lived by warrior rules and respected only power. Today was a special day. A tournament was being held not just for sport, but to celebrate the peace talks with Earth. For the first time in history, humans were guests on the Thalvani homeworld. Princess Kalira stood in the center of the arena. She wore silver armor that shone like the stars. Her long white hair flowed behind her like a banner. Her violet eyes were sharp, full of confidence. She was the daughter of the supreme warlord and undefeated in battle. No alien had ever knocked her down. Her opponent, a huge blue-scaled warrior from the Mograth species, lay defeated at her feet. She had disarmed him in 30 seconds. The crowd screamed with joy as she raised her sword and placed her boot on the warrior's chest. "Is this the best the stars have to offer?" she shouted with a laugh. "Again and again I win." She turned and looked toward the VIP stands. There, high above the arena, sat the Thalvani nobles, diplomats, and the human delegation. Among the humans were military leaders, scientists, and one man sitting calmly in a dark blue uniform. His name was Captain Aaron Drake. Kalira smirked and raised her voice again. "I will make a vow today," she shouted. "If a human ever beats me in this arena, I will marry him." The entire arena laughed. The Thalvani nobles chuckled. Even some of the human delegates exchanged smiles. Everyone knew humans were smart, but not strong like the warrior races. No one expected any human to fight, let alone win. Kalira turned and began walking off the arena stage. Her guards followed, but then a voice rang out. "I accept." The voice was calm, clear, and full of confidence. Kalira froze. The arena grew quiet. Everyone looked down to see who had spoken. It was the man in the blue uniform, Captain Aaron Drake. He was average in height, not as big as the Thalvani. He had short black hair, gray eyes, and a scar over one brow. He looked calm, not angry, not proud, just sure. The guards moved aside as Aaron stepped into the arena. Kalira turned, staring at him like he was a bug that had spoken. "You," she said, almost laughing. "You want to fight me?" Aaron nodded. "You made a vow. I'm here to test it." The nobles gasped. A few shouted, "This is madness!" Others leaned forward, eager to see what would happen. Kalira raised her sword and smirked. "Do you know who I am?" "Yes," Aaron said, "and I'm not here for you. I'm here for the truth." The arena gate closed behind him. A duel was about to begin. The rules were simple. No weapons beyond training swords, no armor, and no killing. First to knock the other down or disarm them would win. Kalira tossed her armor aside, revealing tight battle gear under it. She looked like a dancer made of steel and fire. Aaron removed his uniform coat. He wore a black undersuit, light and flexible. No armor, no tricks. Just him. They stood across from each other. "Ready?" the announcer called. Kalira smiled. "You'll regret this." Aaron said nothing. "Begin." Kalira moved first, fast. A blur of motion. She swung her sword with speed that could break bones, but Aaron ducked, then dodged again and again. He didn't attack. He waited. He watched. Kalira grew annoyed. "Fight me, coward!" She lunged again, but Aaron spun to the side and tapped. Her shoulder with the flat of his blade, a soft hit. But a message. "I can touch you." The crowd gasped. Kalira's eyes narrowed. Now she was serious. She launched a flurry of strikes, sweeps, stabs, spinning attacks. Aaron blocked them, not with power, but with perfect timing. Every time her blade moved, his was already there. His movements were small, clean, controlled. Then he stepped in, twisted her wrist, and knocked her sword from her hand. It flew through the air and hit the ground. The arena went silent. Kalira stood still, stunned. Aaron raised his practice blade and pointed it at her chest. "Disarmed," he said softly. For the first time in her life, Princess Kalira had lost. No one spoke, not for 10 long seconds. Then the crowd erupted, some in shock, some in disbelief, a few in laughter. Kalira stared at Aaron, breathing hard. Her pride burned like fire. Her hands trembled. "You tricked me," she said. "You used coward's moves." "No," Aaron replied. "I studied. I trained. I waited. You fought like a storm. I fought like water. The nobles and leaders watched from above." Whispers turned into talk. Kalira stepped back, her face red with shame, and something else she couldn't name. She had made a vow, public, in front of the Empire. And now, one of her guards stepped forward and whispered, "Princess, the vow is binding." She didn't answer. She just looked at Aaron, trying to understand him. He stood tall, not smiling, not mocking. He wasn't proud. He was calm. "Why did you step in?" she asked him. Aaron looked up at the Thalvani crowd, then back at her. "To show you that humans are not weak. We are not just brains. We're fighters, too. We don't need to shout it. We prove it when it matters." Kalira turned away and walked off the stage without a word. Aaron stayed behind as the gate opened. The crowd still buzzed. Back in the VIP section, the Earth diplomats were silent, some amazed. A few alien nobles looked deeply unsettled. One thing was clear. The arena had gone quiet after the duel. No music, no cheers, only whispers. Princess Kalira left the stage quickly. Her boots echoed through the metal hallway. Her jaw was tight. Her eyes stared forward, burning with shame. No one dared speak. To her, behind her, Captain Aaron Drake remained in the arena, calm as ever. He bowed politely, then walked away without a smile or a word. That quiet exit made the moment even heavier. Kalira reached her private chamber. As the doors closed behind her, she let out a short, angry breath and threw her sword across the room. It hit the wall with a loud clang and fell to the floor. "I was careless," she whispered. "He got lucky." But even as she said those words, a voice deep inside her said the truth. "He beat you, fair and clean." Kalira looked at her reflection. In the mirror, she was still a princess, still strong, still feared. But now, she was no longer undefeated. Meanwhile, in the Earth Embassy quarters, Captain Aaron sat quietly on a bench. His human teammates stared at him. One scientist said, "Do you understand what you just did?" Aaron looked up. "I followed her challenge. That's all." "You embarrassed a royal princess in front of her entire people," a diplomat added. "You might have started a political storm." Aaron shook his head. "She made a public vow. I only accepted. If the Thalvani care about honor, they will respect that." "But now you're supposed to marry her," another muttered. Aaron stood. "That's her problem, not mine." He walked away, calm and quiet as always. But inside, he felt something strange, not regret, not guilt, just curiosity. Back in the Thalvani royal chambers, the Council of Elders sat in a circle. They were old, wise, and very traditional. The warlord, Kalira's father, stood in the center. He wore golden armor and had a hard, cold face. "Explain how this happened," he growled. Kalira stood before them, hands behind her back. "I lost," she said simply. "You lost to a human," one elder said sharply. "A species of thinkers and builders, not warriors." "He was not weak," Kalira replied. "He fought with precision, with patience." "I underestimated him." "You made a vow," her father said. Do you intend to keep it? Kaelira was silent. She remembered what she had said in front of thousands. If a human ever beats me, I'll marry him. I made the vow, she finally said, but I do not know him. Then know him, her father said. But know this too. If you break the vow, it will be seen as weakness. You may keep your pride, but the people will doubt our word. Kaelira clenched her fists. She had trained all her life to be strong, to be respected. Now, one man from Earth had shaken her world. The next day, Kaelira sent a royal message to the human embassy. It read, Captain Aaron Drake, you are summoned by the princess for private conversation. Refusal will be taken as insult. Aaron read the message without surprise. He agreed to meet her. A small room was prepared for the meeting. No guards, no audience, just the two of them. Kaelira stood tall when Aaron entered. He gave a respectful nod. She stared at him for a long moment. You are not what I expected, she said. I get that often, he replied. I want to know why you did it. You made a challenge, Aaron said. I accepted it. I didn't plan to win. I just refused to step back. Kaelira studied his face. It was calm, serious, not proud, not arrogant. That confused her. You could have used that victory to mock me, but you didn't. I'm not here to play games, Aaron said. I don't need to show off. I only came to prove that humans are more than what you think. Kaelira nodded slowly. You did prove that. They stood in silence for a moment. Then she asked, And what do you want now? Nothing, Aaron said. I don't expect a marriage. I know your vow was made in pride, not planning. Kaelira's eyes narrowed. You think I won't keep it? I think, he said carefully. You're not sure what keeping it really means. She looked away. For once, she didn't have an answer. Over the next few days, news spread across the Thalvani Empire. Everywhere, aliens talked about the human who beat the princess. Some laughed, some admired him, others were angry. Many nobles saw it as shameful. A few warriors, jealous and proud, called Aaron a cheat. One noble, Lord Varkos, stood in a hall full of warriors and shouted, I challenge the human, let him fight me if he dares. Kaelira heard of this and grew tense. She didn't care about Aaron, but she didn't want others using her name to harm him, so she did something no one expected. She invited Aaron to train with her. In the private training ground, the two faced each other again. This time not as enemies, but as equals. Kaelira handed him a wooden practice sword. Let's see if your skill was luck, she said. Aaron smiled slightly. Ladies first. They began to spar. The rhythm of their strikes was smooth, sharp, and fast. Kaelira moved with grace, Aaron with control. They matched each other almost perfectly. After several minutes, they both stepped back, breathing hard. You improved, Kaelira said. You held back last time, Aaron replied. They sat down on the mat, sweaty and tired. Kaelira looked at him. You're different from other humans I've met. You're different from the aliens I've met, he answered. She gave a small smile. Is that a compliment? Maybe. For the first time, they both laughed. It was short, but real. Later that night, Kaelira stood on her balcony, looking out over the city lights. Her mind was full of questions. Why did this human not act like the others? Why did he not demand anything? Why was he still on her mind? The vow. The vow was supposed to be a joke, a challenge to scare weaklings. But now it was real. And Aaron. Drake was not a weakling. He was something else. Calm, brave, honest, and that was dangerous. In the shadows of the palace, Lord Varkos met with other nobles. This human must be silenced, he growled. He shamed the royal line. If the princess truly marries him, it will stain our blood forever. One noble asked, Do you plan to challenge him yourself? No, Varkos sneered. I plan to break him through honor. A formal duel witnessed by the court. If he loses, the vow is void. And if he wins? Varkos smiled coldly. He won't. Back in the embassy, Aaron received another message. Formal duel requested by Lord Varkos. The fight will be in the royal court. Refusal will be seen as weakness. Aaron sighed. He had stepped into this world quietly. Now he was at the center of something much bigger, and deep down he knew this wasn't just about honor anymore. The grand court of the Thalvani Empire was silent. It was made of black stone and tall golden pillars. Above, a glass ceiling showed the stars. The room was filled with nobles, warriors, diplomats, and royal guards. Everyone was waiting for the same thing, the duel between Captain Aaron Drake and Lord Varkos. At the far end of the court sat the high seat. There sat Supreme Warlord Thalrex, Kalira's father. His golden armor glowed under the lights. Beside him stood Princess Kalira, dressed in her ceremonial battle robe. Her face was calm, but her hands were tight. She didn't want this fight to happen. Not because she thought Aaron would lose, no. Because if he won again, the talk of marriage would become more than a joke. And if he lost, his honor would be broken. And the nobles would push her to forget the vow. She hated both choices. The heavy doors opened. Aaron Drake entered, wearing simple combat gear. No armor, no weapon yet. Just calm eyes and steady steps. Behind him, the human ambassador whispered, "You can refuse. We can ask for a delay." Aaron shook his head. "No. If I refuse now, they'll say humans only fight once." He walked into the circle and stood facing his opponent. Lord Varkos stepped forward. He was taller, broader, and covered in dark purple armor. His face had sharp tattoos of war. He smirked at Aaron. "You should have stayed on your soft little world," Varkos growled. Aaron replied, "I like proving people wrong." The court watched closely as both men picked up their weapons, metal training swords, heavy and real enough to bruise or break bones. The judge, an elder noble, raised his hand. "This is a formal duel," he said. "Rules, no killing. First to fall or surrender loses. Begin on my mark." He paused, then dropped his hand. "Begin." Varkos charged like a bull. His sword came crashing down. Aaron stepped aside and blocked the strike. The sound of metal rang through the court. Aaron didn't back away. He stayed close, dodging, blocking, weaving around the giant. He didn't try to win with strength. He used speed. He used timing. He watched Varkos's eyes, his feet, his rhythm. Varkos swung wide. Aaron ducked. He kicked Varkos's knee, not to break it, just to unbalance him. Varkos stumbled. Aaron stepped in, turned, and slammed his elbow into Varkos's chest. The armor took the hit, but the force made the big alien take 2 steps back. The nobles gasped. Kalira's lips parted slightly. Her heart was beating faster. This human was dancing around a warrior almost twice his size. Varkos grew angry. He began swinging harder, faster, more wild, but anger made him sloppy. Aaron used it. He ducked under a wild swing, grabbed Varkos's arm, and twisted it. The sword dropped from Varkos's hand. Aaron kicked it away. Then, with a fast spin, he swept Varkos's leg from under him. The giant fell flat on his back. The court was dead silent. Aaron stood over him, sword pointed to his chest. "Do you yield?" he asked calmly. Varkos stared up, breathing hard. His pride was broken. His rage faded. "I yield," he said through clenched teeth. The judge stepped forward. "The winner is Captain Aaron Drake of Earth." The silence broke into gasps, shouts, and stunned whispers. Kalira felt her stomach twist. Her chest was tight. She didn't understand the feeling. She had never seen someone defeat 2 Thalvani champions. And this one was human. Later that night, Kaelira sat alone in the royal garden. The stars above were bright. Strange glowing flowers surrounded her. Aaron entered quietly. He didn't speak at first. He sat across from her on the stone bench. "I didn't want this fight," she said after a while. "I know," Aaron replied. "But it wasn't about you. It was about showing that humans deserve respect." "You've proven that already," she said softly. "More than once." She looked at him. "Why don't you ever gloat? Why don't you demand anything?" "Because I'm not here to take," Aaron said. "I'm here to learn, to build peace." She stared at him for a long moment. Then, in a quiet voice, she asked, "And what if I said I'm starting to respect you?" Aaron tilted his head. "I'd say, thank you." She looked down at her hands. "And if I said I'm also confused?" "Same answer," Aaron said. "You're allowed to be confused." Kaelira gave a small, rare smile. No one had ever spoken to her like this. Not with fear, not with flattery, just honesty. The next few days, something strange happened. Kaelira and Aaron began to train together. Not in secret, but not in public either. Their sessions were quiet, focused, respectful. They spoke of fighting styles, of discipline, of traditions. They learned about each other's worlds, Earth's history, Thalvani honor codes, and slowly they learned about each other. Kaelira told him about the pressure she carried as a warrior princess, about how she had never been allowed to be soft, or curious, or uncertain. Aaron told her about growing up on a colony moon, about his battles on Death World 9, about how fear made him stronger, but kindness kept him human. They weren't just fighters now, they were friends, maybe something more, but not everyone was happy. In the dark council chambers, whispers grew. The princess is spending too much time with the human. She forgets her duty. She may actually marry him. Some nobles began to plot. They couldn't fight Aaron openly, not after 2 duels won clean. So they decided to pressure Kaelira. One morning, she was called before the Council of Honor. There, old voices told her things she didn't want to hear. "You are royal blood. You cannot bind yourself to a foreigner." "It's not about strength. It's about legacy." Kaelira stood tall. "I made a vow, and I am Thalavani. I do not break vows." "Then we will force you to step down from your title." "One," Elder warned. "You may be with the human, but you will no longer be a princess." Kaelira's heart burned. They were giving her a choice, honor or love. That night, Kaelira sent a message to Aaron. "Meet me at the arena," it said. He came. Of course. She stood in the center, alone. He walked up to her. "What's wrong?" She looked at him with deep eyes. "I'm being forced to choose." "I know," Aaron said softly. "And I won't ask you to choose me." She shook her head. "I don't want to lose my name, my people, my future." "Then don't," he said. "You don't have to marry me." Kaelira stared at him. "I never wanted to trap you," he continued. "I never cared about the vow. I only wanted to stand as your equal." Tears touched her eyes, but didn't fall. "I don't know what I feel," she whispered. "Then feel it," Aaron said. "No pressure, no duty, just truth." Kaelira took a deep breath. Then she stepped forward, not close enough to kiss, just close enough to stand beside him. That moment was the beginning of something new, not a marriage, not yet, but a bond, a partnership, a quiet understanding that shocked an empire. The sun rose high over the Thalvani capital city, shining on the tall towers and busy streets. But inside the palace walls, tension filled the air like a thick fog. Princess Kalira stood on the balcony of her chambers, staring out at the distant horizon. Her mind was heavy. The duel victories by Captain Aaron Drake had changed everything. Some nobles admired Aaron, but many hated him. His presence threatened the traditions that held the empire together. Kalira knew she had to act. That afternoon, Aaron received a message from Kalira. "Meet me in the training halls." He arrived to find her already waiting, dressed in simple training clothes. The room was empty, except for them. Soft sunlight filtered through the tall windows. Kalira looked at Aaron, her violet eyes serious. "We can't hide anymore," she said quietly. "People talk. They plan. Some want to hurt you, to shame me." Aaron nodded. "I expected that." Kalira took a deep breath. "Then we face it together." The training began. This time, it was not a test of skill, but a way to build trust. Kalira moved gracefully, showing her warrior's strength. Aaron matched her moves, steady and calm. Between strikes, they talked. Kalira shared stories of her childhood, how she had always been forced to fight, to never show weakness. "My people value strength above all, but sometimes I wonder if that is enough." Aaron listened. "Strength is important, but so is heart. That's why Earth fights not just with weapons, but with ideas and hope." Kalira smiled softly. "You make it sound easy." Aaron shook his head. "It is never easy, but it is worth it." As days passed, their friendship grew stronger. They began to understand each other better. Kalira was surprised to find herself looking forward to their meetings. Aaron's calmness brought peace to her stormy thoughts. Aaron admired Kalira's courage and passion. He saw beyond the fierce warrior to the woman who carried the weight of her people's expectations, but not everyone welcomed their closeness. One morning, as Aaron walked through the palace gardens, a group of Thalvani nobles blocked his path. "We have a message for you," their leader said coldly. "Step away from the princess or face consequences." Aaron stood firm. "I serve no one but my own honor and my people." The nobles sneered. "You are a guest here, human. Don't forget that." Before the situation grew worse, Kalira appeared. "Enough," she commanded. "You will not threaten my guest." The nobles bowed their heads, but left in silence. Aaron turned to Kalira. "Thank you," she smiled. "I will protect you, but you must be careful." Meanwhile, Lord Varkos was not done. He gathered his supporters and spread rumors. "The princess is weak. She has fallen under the human spell." They whispered that Kalira's leadership was failing and that the empire would crumble if she did not break ties with Aaron. Kalira felt the pressure. Every day, voices grew louder. One evening, her father, Supreme Warlord Thalrex, called her to his chamber. "You risk everything by keeping this human close," he warned. "Your people respect strength. They will not follow a princess who seems soft." Kalira stood tall. "I will not abandon my vow, or my friend." Thalrex's eyes darkened. "Then prepare for war, not against outsiders, but within your own court." The next day, Aaron and Kalira met in the palace training hall. "I hear the nobles are planning to challenge me again," Aaron said quietly. Kalira nodded. "They will not stop until they break you." Aaron smiled softly. "Then I will fight. For you. For us." Kalira's heart raced. "You don't have to." "I want to," he said. "You have stood for me. Now I stand for you." They sparred again, this time not as teacher and student, but as partners. Their swords clashed, but their trust was stronger than steel. Word of their bond spread throughout the empire. Many began to see Aaron not as a threat, but as a symbol of change. Children in the streets whispered his name. Young warriors practiced his fighting style. Even some nobles began to question old traditions, but threats still loomed. One night, as Kalyra and Aaron returned from a meeting, shadowy figures attacked them in the palace courtyard. Kalyra drew her sword with lightning speed. Aaron blocked the first strike. Together they fought as one, perfectly timed, strong, and fierce. The attackers fled, defeated and frightened, breathing hard. Aaron looked at Kalyra. "We are stronger together." She nodded, a fierce light in her eyes. "Then we face whatever comes, side by side." In the quiet after the battle, Kalyra invited Aaron to her chambers. She took his hand in hers. "Aaron," she said softly, "I don't know what the future holds, but I do know one thing. I trust you." Aaron smiled, squeezing her hand gently. "And I trust you." For the first time, there was no vow, no challenge, just two warriors, united. The great hall was packed. The whole empire seemed to be watching. Banners of gold and violet hung high. The air was thick with tension. Princess Kalyra stood at the front, dressed in her finest armor. Her violet eyes scanned the crowd. She was no longer just a warrior. She was a leader, a symbol. Beside her stood Captain Aaron Drake, calm and steady like always. His presence was a silent challenge to all who doubted. The final test was about to begin. Lord Varkos stepped forward, his purple armor shining with cold pride. He carried a heavy sword and a cruel smile. "You have humiliated our people enough, human," he growled. "Now you face me. If you lose, the vow is broken, and your claim to the princess is gone." Aaron looked at Kalyra. She gave a small nod. It was clear. No matter what happened, they stood together. The judge raised his hand. "Begin!" Varkos attacked fiercely, his strikes like thunder. Aaron moved quickly, dodging and blocking. The battle was not just strength, it was skill, will, and heart. Aaron stayed calm, waiting for his moment. Varkos swung wide, but Aaron caught the sword and twisted it. Varkos's grip loosened. Aaron kicked the sword away and swept Varkos's leg. The giant fell hard. The hall fell silent. Aaron stood over Varkos, sword pointed but not pressed. "Do you yield?" Aaron asked. Varkos growled, then nodded. The judge declared Aaron the winner. The crowd was stunned. Kalyra stepped forward, raising Aaron's hand high. "This human earned my respect," she said loudly. She looked at Aaron, her voice soft but strong. "I will keep my vow." Whispers turned to cheers. The nobles bowed. The people cheered. Aaron smiled gently. Kalyra smiled back. Later, in a quiet garden, Kalyra and Aaron stood side by side. "I kept my vow," she said. "And I never expected you to," Aaron replied. She laughed softly. "It was not just a vow. It was a test of who I am." Aaron took her hand. "Then let this be the start of something new," he said. Kalyra looked into his eyes. "Together," she said. The empire changed that day. Humans were no longer outsiders. Kalyra and Aaron showed that honor, respect, and love could cross any star. And for the first time, a princess and a human stood united, not by force, but by choice.